Hey everyone, thank you for joining for our sleep webinar, What's Wet. This is Shannon Trussell from the Houston Fitness Center. And today we're going to be talking about how much sleep the average adult needs, discussing the root causes of what may be disturbing your sleep if you're waking up feeling unrestful and tired, if you're waking up multiple times throughout the night. So we're just going to be discussing facts and what science says, and hopefully this will help you determine what may be causing your lack of sleep and what you can do to fix that. So this first slide is just a test your knowledge, pretty simple, easy. How many hours of sleep does this average adult need per night? If you guys can chat in the chat box, this is going to be a discussion. We're going to be interacting with each other. So if you guys can chat, if you think it's A, B, C, D. All right, I'm seeing a lot of C's, 7 to 9 hours. And that is correct. So the average adult needs 7 to 9 hours. And this is going to depend on person to person. It depends on the amount of time you spend being physically active, your age, children versus an adult, right? But on average, it's usually between 7 to 9. All right, next one I have for you guys. Causes of sleep loss. Out of all these that are popping up, if you're comfortable, type in the chat which one maybe speaks to you the most. What may be causing sleep loss? If it's maybe your environment, irregular sleep schedule, medications. So just be thinking about your daily habits, and if maybe this is it. Stress, screen time, huge, right? Since we've been working from home, technology is bigger, screen time. And our biggest, today, biggest one of our day and age more than ever is technology. And for HPE, we've made this shift from working on site to working from home. So you're spending more time on your computer. Meetings that were in person are now online. We're working out online, right? If you take any of our fitness classes. So screen time, computer time, it's probably messing with all of us. I see someone said partner, snoring or other disruptions. And so as we continue talking today, we're going to come up with how to get around these barriers, right? All right. Next thing we're going and moving on to. This is another test your knowledge. It's going to be pretty simple, easy for you guys. True or false, alcohol or a nightcap before bed may help improve sleep. Type in the chat box, true or false. Sing false. Well, you sing a lot of false. Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Yep, false. All right. Well, you guys are right. It is false. Now, drinking alcohol may help you fall asleep maybe faster, but it's actually going to mess with your sleep cycle. So it's going to affect the quantity and the quality of sleep that you get. So sleep is divided into categories of REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement, which is when you dream, and non-REM. There is a cycle that continues throughout the night, starting with non-REM, followed by a brief period of REM. Deep sleep, which is not REM, which is the deepest sleep, right? Deep sleep, the deepest sleep you can get. It's actually not when you dream. And I think a lot of people get confused on that. REM is when you dream. Deep sleep, which happens towards the end of the cycle, the end of the night, is when you get really deep sleep. And deep sleep is important not only for us to feel restful, but there's a lot of things that also happen in deep sleep, other biological benefits. So I'll get to that in a second. I had this psychology professor in college who he was just always very open about his past and shared about he didn't know he was an alcoholic, but he found out he was an alcoholic. And then when he gave up drinking, he had the craziest dreams because for weeks, his body was catching up on the loss of REM sleep. All right, so the next slide we're going to, these are gonna identify top tips for sleeping well, and we're gonna get a little bit into each, giving an example. And at the end of this, if there is a topic that I didn't expand on enough for you and you just wanna know more about, if we have enough time at the end, please feel free to let us know. And if there's a question that I can't answer, I would love to find out the answer and get that to you guys after this webinar. So daily habits. The first one, being physically active. So I talked about this a little bit earlier. So the days when I strength train or I run, I sleep way harder and more compared to the days when I'm just sitting, maybe on the weekend, sitting on the couch, not really doing a whole lot. So maybe you guys have noticed that with your habits as well, right? In your routine, the days when you're physically active, you're going to sleep better. Two, avoid heavy meals and liquids before bedtime. So if you're drinking water before bed, most likely you're going to be waking up multiple times throughout the night to go to the bathroom, which is going to mess with your cycle, right? You're coming in and out, waking up, and so it's going to mess with your non-REM to your REM sleep. Avoid heavy meals. Now, this doesn't have to do with losing weight. This just has to do with, say, if you're suffering from, say, heartburn, or you get indigestion. When we eat, we are using, right? We have neurons that are firing off. So much goes into digestion besides just our stomach, right? Our CNS is firing off, and so if you're using, if you're waking up your body from eating, it's going to be harder to go to sleep. So most doctors would say not to eat within 2 to 3 hours before bed. Avoid alcohol. So we just talked about that. Caffeine, tobacco, close to bedtime. Get exposure to natural light during the day. I have caught myself since COVID going 2 to 3 days without getting out of the house. And usually it happens, I realize it afterwards, right? It kind of sneaks up on us. So that may be something that you're also struggling with as well. Talking about deep sleep, right? One of the reasons why we want to reach deep sleep, there are hormones that are secreted in deep sleep, which is another reason to stick to healthy habits. So glucose metabolism in the brain increases during deep sleep, supporting short-term, long-term, and overall learning. So you're going to perform better, do better. Your conversations with people throughout the day is going to be better. Your work performance is going to be better. Deep sleep is also when the pituitary gland secretes important hormones like the human growth hormone, leading to growth and development. So you can see how that is very important, say, for children, but also very important for you if you have a goal to, say, start strength training, and you want to build up some muscle. You want that human growth hormone. So if you're trying to, if you're someone in a strength training program, or maybe you're a runner, you love to run marathons, right? You need deep sleep to lead to that physiological change for your body that you want to see. All right, so the next one that we're going to have, this next slide, just going back to test your knowledge. I'm sorry, stick to a consistent sleep schedule, which is going to lead into this test your knowledge one. Using a smartphone or electronic device prior to bedtime is a good way to unwind and prepare for sleep. What do you guys think? True or false? Type in the chat. All right, I'm seeing a lot of false. Beautiful. So I know that we can think when we're unwinding, it's nice to be on our phones. It's really sneaky the way that it gets in there. Electronics have really affected my husband and I recently, especially because of COVID. So going into, your daily routine, since we started spending more and more time on our phones, we decided, we just had this realization, like, we're gonna create a pact where we put our phones down after dinner, and then say we want to be in bed by 10. So that means we're in our bedroom by 9, we're getting ready for bed, we are reading a book together to prevent us from getting on our phones and isolating ourselves. Um, so just coming up with a routine, if you have support, that's also great, if you're doing this with someone else, to keep you both accountable, right? So, and as I'm giving these examples, you guys can think of what may work for you, what may not work for you. Create and follow a bedtime routine. Right, so that's the routine that my husband are coming up with, and I'll tell you, it has made the biggest difference, for sure. Um, you guys have maybe also heard of putting your phone in another room when you go to bed, that way you're not pulling to reach for it, and I've never done that before because my phone is my alarm, and then I came to the realization, well, Shannon, just buy an alarm clock, right? So, finding a way to do something else, come up with a ways to get over this barrier. Yeah, I'm reading Headspace is a great one to listen to, meditation before bed. I listen to Bilateral Sounds, Brain Spotting, by this, I'm forgetting his last name, David something. He has a PhD, and it makes me feel like I'm a baby back in a crib, just completely relaxed. Um, Oh, yeah, so Headspace is nice, but it does involve an electronic device. So you have to be that person that's not reaching for your phone to scroll, really, like, putting it down, having it, black screen, and just listening till you fall asleep. So, again, one may work for you, one may not. Alright. Avoid mental stimulation, we've gotten into that. Turning off electronics. This next one, keeping it cool. Keeping it cool, comfortable, and quiet. Someone also just said this, a white noise machine. So my husband and I, we wake up at different times in the morning. So sometimes I wake up at 6, sometimes he's waking up at 6. He started nursing clinicals, so he had to be at the hospital really early. So we actually have a white noise fan. It's really just a fan that we got at Target or Walmart or something, and we turn that on those nights so we don't wake each other up in the morning when we're shoveling around, opening up the drawers and trying to find things that we need. Because you can plan, but to have all your stuff in another room, but sometimes you may forget something. So having a white noise fan. And this one about keeping it cool, maybe you guys have bought sheets that were designed with some kind of technology. There's a technology that's out there to keep your sheets, they just feel cooler, right? I've seen those out on the market a lot. So if you're someone who wakes up sweating a lot, you're getting hot, taking on and off the sheets, maybe looking into those cool sheets. I'm just catching up on some of these comments. All right. Number 10, consider sleeping solo. So this doesn't mean not sleeping with your spouse, but it may be maybe it's your pets that are coming into your bedroom, or maybe you have young kids who just want to sleep with mom and dad. So training them to be able to sleep um, on their own, right? Uh, which is huge, right? I mean, that does take a lot on your part to train for that. Um, I cannot think of a name of some cool sheets, but I can send you guys some ideas and recommendations. I just saw that on the chat for cool sheets if y'all are interested in that. All right, so this next slide, when is it time to see a doctor? So I'd say if you've gone through all of these tips and nothing's quite, I mean, say you take some of these tips, you're using them the next 2 weeks, but if you're still having trouble falling asleep, um, you may want to look into talking to your doctor about it. So if you're feeling unrefreshed, still, maybe you're falling asleep throughout the day, you want to take a lot of naps, talking to your physician about that may be something you need to do. So I would love to hear from you guys. If you can chat in the chat box, what is a new technique that you're interested in trying or you can commit to this week? So if that is going to bed 15 minutes earlier, if that's unplugging electronics, um, if that is reading a book instead. For me, I swear I pass out after reading a book, and I sleep so much harder as opposed to say being on my phone and scrolling. If that's social media or emails or trying to catch up on that. Reading and meditation, keeping electronics out of the bedroom, it's a huge one. Room darkening curtains, I do have those too as well. Uh, my husband is a big fan of blackout curtains. So if that daylight is coming in, stay off the phone, earplugs. My husband also uses earplugs. My husband's tried everything. He was in the military and they were constantly outside sleeping, so he had to find ways to fall asleep, to help him sleep. Yeah, read books, blackout shades. So, yeah, I hope that we can if there's a certain area that you guys wanted to discuss too, if you guys have questions, we do have some time, to go over those. There's a certain area that I did not, um, touch on, you wanna know more about, or if anyone has, recommendations too, we can, totally go into that as well. Um, I fall asleep easily, but wake up early for 5 AM. Melatonin is a natural supplement that you guys can take, to sleep. I have never tried CBD. Um, I have also taken different, uh, sleeping pills, and some work for me and some don't. So it's really just gonna depend on you because all of our bodies are different. So say maybe you go to HEB and you see different options, different products. One could work for me and one can work for someone else, but another one's gonna work best for me. Recommendations for suffering from snoring. If anyone has suffered from that or has a spouse that maybe something helps them to prevent snoring, a wedge pillow. Yeah, if you're someone who wakes up with heartburn or acid, um, which usually looks like the form of belching whenever you're trying to go to sleep, you have to sit up to prevent that from happening. So it's recommended that you use an extra pillow or you have to sit up a little bit more, which just also goes into why we don't eat right before bed. Surgery may be a huge thing. You know, if you have a deviated septum that may be causing your snoring, you may need surgery. Humidifier, if right now we're in winter, right in Houston, there's a huge winter storm coming on. So I'm waking up with my nose is dry, um, so I'm missing my humidifier. And there's a difference between a humidifier and a diffuser, right? A diffuser is for scents, as opposed to a humidifier is for moisture. Yep, if you're in a dry climate, so it doesn't necessarily have to be when it's cold. anyone also has tried those sleep sheets, the cooling sleep sheets, and has any recommendations, you can also type that in the chat box. Someone had a question, but I couldn't think of a brand to recommend or anything like that. Essential oils help calm you. Lavender is a huge one. I've even seen mattress toppers that come scented with lavender to help you sleep. I've also seen ones that are dark charcoal, but that's more of to soak up scents from sweat and whatnot. Serta cooling sheets. Yeah, it's also important to be careful of what scents it is because some people may be allergic. Lavender spray for a pillow, that sounds amazing. Hot bath with Epsom salt, you're speaking to me. I love Epsom salt baths. That really can relax you before bed. But we probably don't want it too hot because that may wake you up. Beautiful. I'm loving all these chats. I'm trying to catch up with all of them to make sure I've read everything, but if I did not read yours and catch yours, I am so sorry. All right, so it is 12:22. We're going to end it with this. Again, if you guys have questions that we did not cover, you can always email me. I really, really love all these suggestions that you have, and thank you for being so active. I think this is extremely helpful. So thanks for joining for our sleep webinar. Again, this is recorded, so it is going to be up on our playlist. So you can always come back, listen to it, share it with a friend, another fitness center member at HPE.